Hal, what's going on? And good afternoon, Phillies fans, and welcome back to the Titans Final here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. With your boy Matty B on the call. And yeah, it was one of them games. A lot to unpack in this one. Phillies win. They hang on there at the end and win 11-9. It was, I guess, evident from the very beginning of this thing that it was going to be one of those games. And there's a lot of positives and there's some negatives that we can pull from this. And we're going to definitely get started because it's a lot happening here. A lot happened in this game, but the Phillies managed the series split with the Nationals. Barely, I guess you could say. I guess all things considered, it's a positive, right? They come out with a split, even though you would think that the way this team is built, they should have taken 3 out of 4 at the very least. But a lot to unpack. So we're not going to waste much time with the preliminaries, but I do have to let you know that here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network, got a lot to offer. So make sure that you're checking everything out. Shows are all across the dial, and it's getting bigger by the day. Tonight, that's right, tonight, the Final Word with Matty B returns on its usual time slot, 10 o'clock on Sunday through Thursdays. I will be back later on tonight. We'll probably get more into this thing and then the other news of the weekend as well. So make sure you're checking that out. PM and the AM, the show you saw this morning, every Sunday morning at 9. Your Sundays will never be the same. It's a wrap. They're wrap around with Papinard or Mike Laro or whoever, whoever's filling in for that week, every Friday night at 10:30 as well. The Attacking Third program every Thursday night at 9. And the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn making its triumphant return for season 6 at the end of the month on August the 28th, as we're getting ready to kick off the Eagles season. And with, of course, the Eagles season in mind, don't forget on Friday night, this coming Friday, we're going to wrap up the preseason with your Birds Blast Eagles Jets edition. So make sure you're tuned in for everything that's happening along the network, and then more stuff's coming by the day. And then, of course, later on today in this program, we got our very famous and fun Down on the Phillies Farm segment that we're going to get into minor league-wise, because it all ties together today for me. What happened in this game versus what's going on in the minor leagues is really, I think, starting to sort of collide a little bit. So we'll get into what I mean by that a little later on. So let's get it going on the program this afternoon. Phillies win 11-9 in a slugfest against the Washington Nationals. I know those words are not necessarily something you want to hear. Slugfest, Nationals together. It seems sort of ridiculous, but that's what happened. Our bullpen did good, but Lazar. Yeah, I mean, listen, Star Wars, I get how the end state of this game came up. 11-6 lead in the 9th inning, and then Lazar could not hold it down. Durant had to come in. You would have wanted to get out of that game without having to use him. But seeing him back out there after what happened on Friday is obviously a positive thing. And, of course, he was somewhat locked down. He did give up a hit there, I think. But that's a positive to see him actually pitch and pitch effectively. So I get it. You don't necessarily want to have to use him if you don't have to use him. You know, part of having a closer is making sure that you have him when you need him. And this was a game where the Phillies shouldn't have needed him. But they did. But, yeah, I mean, Max Lazar is Max Lazar. I don't expect too much from Max Lazar. I really don't. I don't expect too much from him. Papernick says, good win. But is it, though, Michael Papernick? Yes, every win's a good win. But is this really a good – would you classify this as a good win? And we're going to break some things down. Maybe you do. And I'm not saying you don't. Maybe you do classify it. Maybe you do classify it as a good win. I don't know. But I personally – I'm on the fence about the good win part, about the good part. Win's a win, and it's always good. But to kind of emphatically say good win, I don't know. We'll get to the bottom of that here in a second. And Mike Laro says they escaped. I guess that's a perfect segue to get into some of the storylines of this game. And let's get going with the very first storyline. The Phillies made a slew of roster moves this morning ahead of today's game. Cal Stevenson, given his outright release from the organization, not DFA'd, the man was released. And to be honest with you, I didn't know Cal Stevenson was in the organization anymore, but he's not anymore. So good luck in your future endeavors, Cal Stevenson, wherever they may be, in whatever league you might be searching for. Phillies, of course, placed Zach Wheeler on the 15-day IL. Activated Aaron Nola for the start today, and we're definitely going to talk Aaron Nola. They also sent Otto Kemp back down to Lehigh Valley, and then retroactively sent up Alec Boehm, who had himself a pretty impressive return to the lineup today, as he was not hitting well in the AAA rehab stint at all, but apparently found his swing today against the Nationals. So a bunch of roster moves ahead of the game today. And are there more coming? Because let's get into the first negative. It's got to be Aaron Nola. I mean, I don't know where else to turn anymore with Nola. The 65, 78, whatever long days he was on the IL, it's the same Aaron Nola that went into the IL that pitched today. The same one. Matter of fact, I think this is the second time this season he's been spotted a 6-0 lead, and he can't hold it. Aaron Nola ends this game. Let's give you his stat line because it was dreadful. 2 1/3 innings pitched, 7 hits, 6 runs. They were all earned. 1 walk, 4 strikeouts, 53 pitches through 2 1/3 innings. His ERA now balloons up to a healthy 6.92. In contrast, Parker, who did not fare any better than Nola, went an inning and a half, 4 hits, 6 runs, 5 earned. Struck out none and gave up a homer, and he went 52 pitches in an inning and a half. His ERA is only 5.83. Give me Parker right now over Aaron Nola. Folks, we got a serious problem with Aaron Nola, and it ain't injury related. And I think it might be a little evident, again, even to the homers of the crowd, that this is not an injury situation. This is Aaron Nola apparently sliding down on the other side of his career. And I don't know how much more evidence you need to see. He had a very positive start this week in Lehigh Valley. Matter of fact, and we're going to break the start down a little bit later in the show because he made the Down on the Phillies farm player of the week for the Iron Pigs in his rehab start. He struck out 11 through 5 innings or something like that, was mowing them down. But it's the same Aaron Nola with the same issues. Velocity's down. Everything's hanging up. He had a pretty serviceable first couple innings, but then it all fell apart, and he gives up yet another 6-0 lead. We might have given out one of the worst contracts in Philadelphia sports history. Aaron Nola's contract might go down as one of the worst contracts in Philadelphia sports history, that extension that he was given. Because I have serious concerns about Aaron Nola. I know with the Zach Wheeler blood clot thing, the up and down about Luzardo, Suarez's second half issues. There's major concern with Nola. And it needs to be figured out sooner than later. And if it means Nola goes to the bullpen in the postseason, so be it. But I can't have a guy who's getting paid, $18 million, $19 million a year with an ERA close to 7, pitching in the postseason as a starter. There's a major concern, and I have not rang the bell at all about pitching all season. I've been very steadfast in saying that the Phillies have enough. But today, watching Aaron Nola just get shellacked by the Washington Nationals has me very concerned about Nola. Not so much about the pitching. I'm still okay with it. But I'm very concerned about Aaron Nola's future with this baseball team, especially in 2025. I cannot have a pitcher being paid the amount of money he is with an ERA close to 7 after spending the last 2.5, 3 months sitting on IL to come back and look absolutely no different than he did before he went on the IL. Tell me I'm lying. Please. I want to know. So let's go. Goddamn, you guys blew me up. Nola can't lose the game. We took the lead back, son. We can still blame him, though. I don't miss this at all. And yeah, and again, I'm kind of going positive, negative, positive here, right? So, I guess the first point was the roster moves. That's neither positive or negative, unless you're a Cal Stevenson fan or a Otto Kemp fan, which, of course, it's a shame to see Otto Kemp not be able to kind of stick around. Now, Rob Thompson gave some BS answer like, well, I need to see him play every day. Well, yeah, you can see him play every day because I would much rather him play center field than Brandon Marsh, honestly, or platoon him in left with Kepler. I would rather see a little bit more of Otto Kemp out there. But I can live with that. I mean, Otto Kemp was never on anybody's bingo card this year. He was a pretty cool story. But the bottom line with Otto Kemp is he needs to go play on a team like the Rockies or the Pirates or the A's so he can go out and play every day. I agree with that. But other than that, I don't think the roster moves are anything but neutral. The first point is the negative point about Aaron Nola. This game never should have been in doubt the way it was. Now, with Lazar's problems in the ninth inning, you can kind of summarize that maybe we do run into those problems because if we're blowing out the Nationals, Lazar's probably pitching in the ninth inning anyway. So maybe we run into some problems. I don't know. But you just can't choke away a 6-0 lead to the Washington Nationals. And Aaron Nola has now made a habit of doing that this season. And now it's at least the second time that I know of that he blew a 6-0 lead. The big stick on Nola was we never give him any runs. Well, we gave him 6 today, and he couldn't hold on to it. He gave him back in the next third of an inning. There's a real problem with Aaron Nola, and it's not injury related. It could be Mother Nature related, Father Time related. It could be Aaron Nola's velocity is now starting to plummet because gravity is taking over. I don't know, but there's a problem with Nola, and it's a situation that cannot happen at a worse period of time, especially with dealing with Wheeler going on the IL. There's now there's a doubt or a incremental bit of concern with me when it comes to the starting rotation heading into October. And Aaron Nola coming out today and pitching, I didn't need to see him pitch a no-hitter. I didn't. I just needed to see that he had some of that pop back. And even in those first 2 innings when he wasn't struggling, he still looked flat to me. It still looked slower than usual. There was no zip to it. There was no tail on anything. There's a problem with Aaron Nola. And it's a problem that the Phillies just don't need right now. They really don't. I know it's Nola first start back, but should there be concern still, or does he get a I guess I'm slow on these. No, there's concern. There's concern, Kaepernick, because he's been on the IL for 3 months and he comes back essentially the same pitcher that he was when he went on it. And no pass. Not for a guy getting paid the way he's getting paid. Not for a guy that's supposed to be 1A to 1B ace. Or maybe I think what that ship has sailed at the number 2. There is concern because it's the same Nola. So we can now rule out the injury problem. So what was the real reason why Nola was on the IL? Was there anything else going on and that they were trying to work on? So yeah, there's concern. God damn it. I like Otto Kemp over Weston Wilson. So do I, Kaepernick. I do, 100%. But I'm not going to get upset. Wilson's out of options. You got to understand that too. So if the Phillies send him down, they got to DFA him. And he probably will get scooped up by somebody else. I'm not saying that that's something that you should lose sleep over, or I'm also not saying that Weston Wilson over Otto Kemp is something that I mean, if I would have woke up today and it was Otto Kemp over Weston Wilson, so be it. You know, I'm not saying that either way. You took the easy way out. Kemp's got options. Wilson doesn't. It's an easier move to make with Kemp. You send him down. He's got 4 more left. He's got 4 more minor league options left. Wilson's out of options. So you have to DFA him. You have to go through all that whole process. I still can't comprehend how a so-called ace cannot manage a pitch to contact without getting lit up like July 4th. I can't, Steve. I cannot. I cannot. And, you know, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. Even though when he went on the IL, it was all about it's his ribs. No, it's his ankle. Well, it's his rib ankle. I mean, what was wrong with him that landed him on a 60-day IL stint? I think all that was smoke and mirrors. I think they were working on strengthening his arm. And I honestly believe he is losing velocity. And there's nothing you're going to do to get that back unless you teach him how to command and live on the breaking stuff. I mean, pitchers have done it in the past, power pitchers, that when they lose that, they go to another pitch and they start mixing in filthy breaking stuff. Aaron Nola hasn't mixed filthy breaking stuff into his pitch arsenal the entire season. And he used to throw some nasty breaking stuff. But the stuff that he's breaking with is still hanging up. None of it's fallen out. There's problems with Aaron Nola that go well above and beyond the IL. And those problems are intensified by the Zach Wheeler situation now. Not that I have concerns that Wheeler won't be available in the postseason. I think he will be. And I pray to God that everything is fine and he comes out of this okay. Obviously, health and longevity as a person trump, the 2025 baseball season. I get that. But I have steadfast belief that Zach Wheeler will be okay. Now, if he's not, and we go into the postseason with a starting rotation that looks like something like this, like Sanchez, Suarez, Luzardo, and Walker, I might have to say that I got a problem with the pitching. I might have to admit to that. But I think I have a remedy for it because I'm going to get to that later on in the show too. But I can't make it. I can't make sense out of it. I can't. They gave him potentially gave him a bad contract. They gave him the worst contract in Phillies sports history. Dave Dombrowski is starting to now stamp his seal of approval all over everything on this team right now. And that's concerning. But again, of course, I wasn't upset when they re-signed him. But some pitchers lose it like that, man. Some go from night to day. I don't know. But I think there's something deeper with Nola that we're not either A, able to kind of wrap our heads around, or B, want to admit to. And I'm speaking, of course, to the homers with that whole won't want to admit to it point. I don't give Nola a pass because the Wheeler injury, we need him. Again, either I'm getting really slow on this or you guys are really fast. Rob Thompson stinks. Pumper, that wasn't really Rob Thompson's fault today, man. Lehigh Valley batters aren't going to always crush those 0-2 mistakes down the middle. That's a problem. Yeah, it's true. But so we looked at a negative in Aaron Nola. Now let's look at another positive. Let's go to the positive side because Alec Bohm deserves a little bit of credit today, coming back from a stint on the IL himself, where he batted, I think, 170 something down in Lehigh Valley. But he comes out today, goes 2 for 4, scores 2 runs, drives in 3 runs. That big time 3-run homer that at that time seemed to be the getaway blast of the game, putting the Phillies up 6-0 in the third. Really had you looking, or in the fourth, sorry. No, second. Was it a second? Yeah, it was second. Really thought everybody was thought it was all over with, man, right? It was all over. But Bohm deserves a lot of credit today. You look good. He looked a little concerned, some defensive issues out there. But you know what? He looked okay. And if we can get Alec Bohm to hit again, he's batting 280 now. If we can, I don't like him batting 5th. Or I'm sorry, he was cleaning up today. I don't like him batting 4th. But I mean, Alec Bohm hitting is a good sign for this team. A positive sign for this team. Let's talk now. Let's go back down to the negative side. Again, I'm going to go positive, negative, positive, negative. But this is not so much a knock on. I know the bullpen's going to come under a lot of pressure today, and especially Lazar. We mentioned it there early in the telecast. I'm not overly concerned about what happened to the bullpen. It was one of these games. You saw it kind of going back and forth, back and forth. When you have a 5-run lead heading into the 9th inning and things kind of go off the rails, that's why you have a closer. And thankfully, Rob Thompson, and this is actually a positive point, actually, did not burn the run at some point in this game, like around the 6th or 7th inning. He actually held on to him to the 9th, and it definitely solidifies that Rob Thompson now thinks he has a closer, and that's great because that means there's a role out in the bullpen, and that means that de facto other pitchers will have roles. So that was a positive thing, that the Phillies had the Duran ace up their sleeve, and the way he pitched. Goes a half an inning and strikes out 1. Didn't give up a hit. I thought he did. It was a half inning and strikes out 1 for the save his 21st. So there's a positive thing. And obviously with the scare from Friday night, seeing him be as effective as he was very good. So That's one of those positive things for the Phillies. And then another positive, because I'm giving them out all over the place. The Phillies were 7 for 14 with runners in scoring position today. They batted .500 with runners in scoring position. Someone needs to take a screenshot of this so I can hang it up on my wall. They left 8 on base, but they were 7 for 14 with runners in scoring position. So all good positives for the Phillies in that aspect. And it boils down for me to the Aaron Nola debacle. That's the biggest negative you can take out of this game. That's the biggest concern you're going to take out of this game. I think there's now a legitimate issue with Aaron Nola's velocity, and I think there's a legitimate issue with Aaron Nola's durability, maybe, I guess. Maybe it's another word for say he's getting too old. And that is the biggest negative. It overshadows everything for me today. It overshadows the gutsy offensive performance by this team that they mixed in contact hitting. Harrison Bader with a sac fly. Another one. That's the second sacrifice fly I've seen in a week from this team. Oh, my God. All right. They were finding ways to score runners. They were moving runners along. Rafael Marchand was wearing puke green catcher's gear. I mean, it was all off kilter today. But everything for me is overshadowed by the Aaron Nola situation. And I know there's going to be a large swath of the fan base out there that's going to chalk this up to, well, you know what? Just got back from the IL. Where is that? There we go. Let's go to it. Steve, I'm thinking of you, buddy. Here we go. Woo, woo, woo. Blue Light Special at Big House Emporium. Aisle 4. No, aisle 9. Aisle 9. Don't worry about Aaron Nola. He just got back off of the IL. Give him some time to knock the rust off. That's right. Aisle 9 of Big Al's Emporium. New for today. Sale ends at midnight. Go and get yours now while supplies freaking last. That's right. Big Al's Emporium. Serving the reality depraved Phillies fans since the summer of 2024. Yeah, there's real problems with Aaron Nola. There's some problems with him, man. And I don't think we can avoid it. What are we at here? It looks like the Christopher Sanchez might have to turn into a Cole Hamels of 08. That's giving Christopher Sanchez like zero room to fail, right? Is Christopher Sanchez that kind of pitcher? Maybe he is. I don't know what it means. You might be right. Because I just said it. A rotation in the postseason without Wheeler, with an ineffective Nola. You have to go Sanchez as your 1, Luzardo as your 2, Suarez as your 3, and God help us, Taijuan Walker as your 4th. Now, I know I've always been on the offensive train and say that it all comes down to offense. And I still think, even with that ridiculous rotation, I think they can still win if the offense does their job. I still think they could win even if the offense does its job. I think they can win with that rotation. Now, I don't know if they can win a World Series with that rotation, but they could probably get through the first round, potentially the second, and then all bets are off. But yeah, obviously the Sanchez's of the world are going to have to maybe take another step forward to go along with the step forward he has already taken this year. But it puts on notice for me, Jesus Luzardo. He better figure himself out quick. That to me now becomes the most important pitcher in this rotation is Jesus Luzardo. And he needs to figure out his inconsistencies and get them under control quick because he's about to potentially take over the number 2 role on a postseason rotation. So, yeah, not good. Obviously, Zach Wheeler coming back is the number one thing everyone wants to see. And that balances out the rotation even without Nola in it for the postseason. But if you're going to go into it without Nola and Wheeler, I don't know. I mean, I still think they can win that way. It's just I don't know if they can win a World Series. What were we supposed to do? Let him walk and have the Braves or Mets sign him? Yeah, absolutely. Now, again, I ain't going to sit here and tell you that I was some great prognosticator about the Nola thing. He was the best available pitcher that year on the market. We needed to keep him, and there were no signs that this was coming. He was just Aaron Nola. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I rallied against it. I know some of you out there did. I don't remember if you did, Steve. I know people rallied against it, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I did. I didn't. I thought it was an okay signing. I thought it was a smart signing. But right now, it's not a smart signing. I think Noah's done. I think Noah's career is over. Honestly, too. Second time through the lineup, he just got lambasted. Yeah, and even that first time through the lineup, Steve, even when he was working his way through the lineup the first time, and he had some success striking out some people, everything was up. Everything was flat. There was no zip, tail, nothing. I think back, I would have to say that one of my more marquee Aaron Nola starts for my life was July 4th, 2020. Oh, man, was it 2023? Yeah, July 4th, 2023 in Tampa. And if you didn't see that game, and you probably wouldn't, why should you remember that game? It was a billion years ago. But that was the Nola that I liked. That's the Nola that everything, even the flat fastball, had a tail on it. The fastball broke out or broke in right at the last second. And it had zip and it had pop. Everything now is flat and up, and it's got no life to it. And are we still going to go and say he's injured? Now, of course, he'll get another opportunity. Well, he's got no choice but to get another opportunity here in 5 days to pitch again. But I'm telling you guys, they dodged a bullet today with coming back. And again, that's a positive thing. That's a rally type win, because I fully expected the Phillies to lose this game 11-6. I really did. I thought the wheels had come off and they were going to completely come off in this game, but they didn't. They checked their way back into this, and they ended up winning this game. So it's a great win in that aspect, but it's not a great win from the holistic outwards looking in type thing. It's not a great win. It's a very concerning win for how they got there. So, but there's a problem. Phil's our second in the MLB with 16 players at 30 points GFDOH. How many times do we need to sing the S tune and bring up Crawford? Yeah. Probably got to sing it the rest of the year, Steve. I don't think he's coming, man. I don't think he's coming. And I don't think he's coming in September either. I think, and again, I'm going to tell you why. Because don't forget, you don't go from 26 players to 40 players like you used to. It's, I think, 26 to 28. I think you add 2 more guys. And I have a suggestion. And I think the Phillies, out of necessity, might have to bring pitchers up to see if they got anybody that they could potentially lean on in the postseason. And I think that's necessity is going to dictate the September call-ups, and Crawford's just not going to be that. Even though you're right, he should be called up. He should be up here already. But I think now necessity is going to place Crawford back on the back burner to at least 2026. And I'm going to get into what I mean here in a minute. Afternoon, everybody. Mickey, how are you today? We're not a World Series team. I'm not going to disagree with you there. I agree. They're not. I 100% agree with you. But we do get flashes of what they can be, and today was one of those flashes. I think it was Joe Hale said it way back when, or who was it that said it was a great win? Way back at the beginning, was it Papernick? Who was that? Good win was Papernick. In essence, when you look at this game sort of from the inside out, it wasn't a good win. It was a labored win that used up some of your bullpen that you're going to need tomorrow when the Seattle Mariners come to town. You try to conserve arms in games like this when you have a 6-0 lead in the third inning. You try to conserve arms, right? You try to get and especially in a situation with Nola, you could have wound Nola all the way out and pitched him until he couldn't go anymore. First start back after being on the IL for about 30 years. So, no, that's not a good win that you had to go to your bullpen and you had to burn through about 4 or 5 pitchers. And now you got the Mariners coming in tomorrow. So, no, that's not a good win. But it was a good win with the fact that they, after building a 6-0 lead, they surrendered it. But then they didn't, they didn't take their ball and go home. they said, you know what, we're gonna fight our way through this, and they did, and that's a good win, and that's the part of this game that it was encouraging to me, because if the offense can play like we know it's capable of playing, which it says it on paper the way they can play, if they can do that and do stuff like they did today, now they're not going to be facing Washington National pitching in the playoffs. But if they can find a way to gut out games like this and deal with that adversity, then the sky is the limit for this team. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's not, because on paper they are capable, but we just haven't seen it happen in real life too many times. So, yeah, I agree with you there. But if for some unbeknownst reason to anybody out there that it actually clicks for the first time in 4 years, then yes, they will be a threat. But now, again, with necessity being the mother of invention, the offense better figure it out, because now they may have to actually carry this team. And can they do that? The offense might now have to step up and be the actual driving force around behind this team going down the stretch with all the uncertainty with the pitching right now. They're hot, but it's also mid-August. Why are you giving Eagles fan? I don't know. What the hell are you asking? Well, I don't understand what you're asking. I think Nola has the pitcher's version of the yips. I disagree, Patrick. I disagree. He might have had him back when they put him on the IL 65 days ago, but there's no excuse for that now. And there's no excuse for the yips either. The guy's a veteran. The guy's been doing this for a long time. The guy's getting paid very handsomely. So I don't think it's the yips. I think it's Father Time. His velocity's down by about 3 miles. And nothing has any zip to it anymore. So yips be damned. And that's on aisle 19 of Big Al's Excuse Emporium, by the way. Nola has a case of the yips. Now, I think it's velocity and I think it's time. I honestly do. Why are you giving up, Eagles? He can give up all he wants. Mickey, good God, man. Have you not listened to me? You drone on for the last half season? I don't think they're a World Series team either. Or I should say a World Series winning team. What's the difference there? No, I don't think they are either. So I'm assuming Suarez, Sanchez, Luzardo are pitching against the Mariners in 3 games. And I know Suarez is going Monday. I haven't looked that far out into the rotation, but yeah. And with Nola, does another decision have to be made? Again, if it's not physical, or meaning if it's not an injury, he's obviously going to get another start. And he's probably going to start. They're probably going to hurt him out there every 5th day, regardless, until they honestly can't do it anymore. And you know what? Nola deserves that. Nola deserves an opportunity to try to work himself out of this. But the Phillies also have to protect their investment of the season at some point. So this just is another question mark to go on top of another heaping pile of question marks with this starting rotation. You added the Wheeler situation yesterday. Now you're talking Nola. Is this now something that needs to really be addressed in terms of, is Nola done? I mean, is he just cooked? Is it over? Luzardo's inconsistencies, Ranger Suarez's second half swoon, and the reemergence of Taijuan Walker are all questions that have to now be asked about this rotation. And again, this is not the time of the year to be going through all this. You want to go through this in April and May, not in July or August and September. So this adds another level of intrigue to this little pennant run. And it will add on to the excuse fest from the homers if things don't work out. They will say, well, Suarez will he had another second half swoon, but he'll figure it out in 26. Luzardo, man, just was what, he'll be more solid in 2026 because he'll have another spring training under his belt or some nonsense like that. And Nola, don't worry about Nola. Yeah, it's a bad year. We'll come back. So that's also a bad byproduct that might come out of this. I have to listen to that nonsense for the next 4 months through the offseason. But yeah, you're looking at possibly the new rotation with you throw in Walker there. I will all be okay, Matty B. Oh, I know. Oh, it will be all. Nah. What do you mean it'll be all? No, we not. So I'm talking about Star Wars. Star Wars is a homer, man. Well, not a homer. Star Wars. You're Homer like. Oh man. Brewers gonna win the World Series. No. If you're asking me, Dodgers, Tigers. Well, Alvarado will be back on August 19th, so don't be surprised if Strom spot starts. LOL, as Robbie has done that in the past. Well, Alvarado. So I don't know why would you want to spot start Strom? No one's going back out. And Walker's going back out. There's going to be no spot starts. No. Now, I don't know about this 6-man rotation. I don't know if that's going to happen, but there'll be no spot starts. Unfortunately, this is like the 4th time the Brewers have been like this, only to turn into, listen, again, I agree. At least the Guardians are struggling, yeah. Well, the Phillies play the Nats at home after Seattle, so I'm assuming Nola pitches against the Nats next weekend. Well, yeah, I mean, so they have what? Monday. So Monday would be day 1. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, off day Thursday. Yeah, by the schedule, he would be pitching Friday night, wearing the City Connects against the Nationals. So we'll see. But I expect him to come right back out there. I honestly do. I don't think that they're going to shut him down unless, of course, this is another injury or the injury is still there or whatever excuse they might give. Maybe they'll be shopping at the Big Al's Excuse Emporium tonight. Maybe you'll be seeing Dave Dombrowski incognito slinking down the aisles at Big Al's Excuse Emporium to find something for Aaron Nola. Braves have blown it to the Phils, Mets, and Nats in the last decade and a half. Yeah. Oh, Brewers. Yeah, I'm not worried about the Milwaukee Brewers. Yeah, they're hot as the sun right now. I give you that, but it's mid-August. I'm not worried about that. All right, let me get into this. There's a lot to break down in this box score, so let me get into it. Phillies 11 runs on 12 hits. No errors. Phillies Nats 9 runs on 13 hits, and they committed 3 errors in this game. Phillies pitching gives up 13 hits. Phillies pitching has been giving up a lot of hits lately. For the Phillies offensively, we sort of kind of remarked a little bit, but we had 4 players with multiple hit games. Turner 2 for 4. Harper, which was really positive to see, was 2 for 4. Alec Bohm, of course, the big day, 2 for 4 and 3 RBIs. Harper had 2 RBIs as well. Castellanos comes out of his slump a little bit today, 2 for 5. Bader was 1 for 3. Weston Wilson 1 for 3. Brandon Marsh 0 for 0. Stott was 1 for 4, and Marchand 0 for 5. So offensively, for the Phillies to bang out 13 hits or 12 hits after hits have been sort of at a premium lately, was good to see that. And again, a character win coming back from blowing a 6-run lead. For the Nationals, Garcia got on base, I think, 3 times out of 4, scored 2 runs. CJ Abrams, no joke, 3 for 5, scored 2 runs. Paul DeJong with the big homer there to get the Nationals back in this thing late. He was 1 for 4. Dylan Lyle, 2 for 5. Dylan Cruz, 1 for 5. Man, Nationals got some good young players, man. I would love to have CJ Abrams and Dylan Cruz. Love to have those two. Man. Phillies on the day were 7 for 14 with runners in scoring position. They left 8 on base. As I mentioned, Phillies batted .500 with runners in scoring position today. I am taking a screenshot of that and put it up on my wall. The Nationals 5 for 15 with runners in scoring position. They left 6. Phillies did not attempt, nor did they get caught stealing in this game. The Nationals ripped off 2 bases off of Marchand. Pitching, we already went through the dreadful line of Nola, Banks, Ross, Strom, Lazar, who had the second worst outing today by any Philly pitcher from Nola. Lazar, an inning in the third, 4 hits, 3 runs. They were earned, and it was the big homer there. And then Duran comes in with the save, his 21st. Parker pitched an inning and a half. Again, I went over that, but I would take Parker over Nola right now. Nola's ERA is 6.92 right now. 6.92. And the guy's getting paid like $20 million a year. Rutledge, Poulin, Ribalta, Ogasawagnara, Plinkton, and Beater also pitched for the Nationals in a losing effort. Scoring summary: Trey Turner would get it going early on in the first. Or actually it was Turner scoring on an error to make it 1-0. Schwarber then would knock in Marchand in the second to make it 2-0. Harper would continue on the onslaught in the second, knocking in Turner to make it 3-0, and then Bohm with the big home run, capping off that big 5-run second inning and make it 6-0 Phillies. But then here come the Nationals back in the top of the second, or bottom of the third, excuse me. Abrams would knock in Hassel. Lyle would knock in Abrams and Garcia. Cruz would knock in Dijon and Lyle. And Tina would then knock in Cruz. And then before it was all said and done with, after the third inning, it was 6-6 and goodbye Aaron Nola. But here come the Phillies back in the fourth. Weston Wilson would knock in Bohm to make it 8-6, along with Castellanos making it 8-6. Castellanos then would homer in the sixth, a solo shot making it 9-6. And it was good to see Nick hit a home run today. Harper would knock in Turner in the eighth to make it 10-6. Bader with the sac fly, making it 11-6 in the eighth. And then Dijon would get things back going for the Nationals with a 3-run shot in the ninth, making it 11-9. But Duran would come in and hammer down the save, and the Phillies win 11-9. And there you go, man. It was a lot going on in this game, and a lot to be happy with, but some things to be concerned with. The Mariners pitching Logan Gilbert Monday, Phillies Ranger Suarez. Yes, they are. Zardo will have a solid 2026. There you go, Mike. That's it. Aisle 24. Jesus Zardo will have a solid 2026 because it's a contract year. I ain't being sarcastic. I know you are. Is Crawford not hitting the most consistent 334 you've ever seen? Yes, he is, Steve. I would love to corner Dave Dombrowski in a room and find out the real reason. I know he said it because Crawford has to play every day. Again, I think that's a flimsy-ass reason why he's not being called up. I don't know. I still think it has something to do with Dave Dombrowski not wanting to admit he was wrong about the Brandon Marsh Logan O'Hoppe trade. I'm sorry. I still think it has something to do with that. And he doesn't want to admit to that by calling up Crawford and essentially benching Marsh, because that's what would happen, or putting Marsh in a straight platoon out there in left field. I honestly think it has something to do with that. I think it's pride is why Crawford's not being called up. No pitcher yet. Wednesday, pitchers Mariners, Luis Castillo and Jesus Zardo. We're going over the pitching matchups for the Mariners series. But all right, so let's get to the Broad Street bottom line here on this afternoon. A lot going on in this show today. All right, the Broad Street bottom lines today. I got a couple of them. Bottom lines for me in this game was good to see the Phillies battle back from some adversity, giving up a 6-0 lead and then battling their way back, extending that to an 11-6 lead, and then holding on. Honestly, it's Major League Baseball. For as much as you want to rag on the Nationals and you want to rag on the Pirates and you want to rag on the A's and the Rockies, which they deserve it, it's still the top level of baseball in the world. And the players that are in this league are there for a reason, because they belong here. They are the 1% of the 1%. And even though the Phillies got into a slugfest with the Washington Nationals, they still found a way to win. And there is something to take from that. There's a lot to take from that, especially the way this offense has played the majority of the season. And I'm not blind to that. I'm going to give the kudos where it belongs. And they showed a lot of character today and a lot of heart. But this is what I need to see every game, especially now more than ever. If the pitching is starting to sort of enter this weird questions across the board phase of the season, the offense needs to play like this every game. And is it too much to ask for them? Well, through reality and through what we've seen and evidence, yes, it is. But you never know. Maybe it isn't. They're capable of doing it, as evident today and as evident through a handful of other games this season. They are 100% capable of going out and playing offensively the way they did today. But now it needs all this tongue-in-cheek about, well, when it clicks, or we've seen it happen, they can do it, or this team's built for October, which is some of the most insane malarkey I've ever heard in my life. But all that talk is now over with. And if they're going to do it, it needs to start now, because they're going to have to actually flip-flop roles on this team. Now the offense is going to have to carry this team a little bit. And I don't know if they can do that. That's what concerns me. Because with the status quo the way it was, with the pitching carrying the heavy load, the offense, fumbling around in the dark looking for its keys, every now and again it does find them. Now you're going to reverse that, because now the offense is going to have to take a more consistent, sustainable role with this team over the course of the next 2 months. Can they do that? They've proven it today that they can. Now, do I expect them to go out there every game like now? Of course not. But I need to see it more times than not. So the bottom line was, one of my bottom lines was, it was very good to see that from out of the disaster that Aaron Nola was today. And there was nothing less than a disaster. I don't want to hear any sort of, and I know people like to say the flower thing. I don't want to hear any of that with Nola. That was an absolute disaster today with Aaron Nola. And I think there's problems with Nola that are going far beyond the injury situation. I think we may have a real serious issue with Aaron Nola in terms of his career might be over, if he doesn't want to learn any new pitches. There's always that caveat. But the offense proved today that they are capable of taking this team and putting them on their shoulders. But now they got to show it in a more consistent way. So that's one of my Broad Street bottom lines. The other one, again, is Aaron Nola. It really just kind of begins and ends with him today. Just could not have gone any worse for the Phillies in Nola today than this. This completely puts into doubt everything that Aaron Nola might have left in the tank. And it really does now. For the first time, I'm willing to admit this. It now starts me questioning the pitching depth of this team. You're taking some hits right now. You're taking a lot of hits. You've lost essentially your number one and number two. Now you're really going to have to see this. If Chris Sanchez is the real thing, I don't want to hear any more about Ranger Suarez's second half struggles. You got to figure it out. Jesus Luzardo's got to figure out his inconsistencies, and Taijuan Walker's got to keep pitching the way he is. We're going to need it, and the depth's going to be tested. Now, I'm not saying that there's like they're going to fail and we're done. No, I think if the offense does their job, and if the pitching gives you what I think they're capable of, even in this depleted way, I think it's enough, especially to win the division. Now, I don't know about winning a World Series, but there's a lot more. There's another if thrown on the pile with this team. And Aaron Nola is the big one. A huge if. But there you go. There's my Broad Street bottom line. Let's head now down to round the bases. All right, round the bases on this Sunday afternoon. Of course, the Phillies with that special 11:35 start time today. So basically, every single game in Major League Baseball is still happening, but them and the one tonight and the ones at 4 o'clock. But let's get you caught up on the games that have gone final. And yes, guess what? It's only the Phillies game that's gone final. So we're going to jump into games that are currently still in progress. They're in the top of the ninth in Fenway. It's 5-3 Marlins over the Red Sox. Down there up there in Toronto, it's 8-2 Rangers over the Blue Jays as they're going to the eighth. The Guardians lost today, or losing 5-4 to the Braves in the bottom of the seventh. It's the Reds winning 1-0 over the Brewers in the top of the ninth. So the Brewers' 14-game winning streak is in jeopardy, and the 5-0 Orioles over the Astros right now in the top of the sixth. It is 2-0 White Sox over the Royals in the bottom of the sixth. 7-1 Twins over the Tigers, the bottom of the fourth. Yankees are up 3-2 over the Cardinals in the top of the fifth. And Wrigley, it's 2-1 Cubs over the Pirates, top of the sixth. Bottom of the third in Colorado, 0-0 D-backs and Rockies. Later today at 4 o'clock, you got the Rays at the Giants. The Angels are in Sacramento against the Athletics. San Diego is in L.A. against the Dodgers. Oh, is that really? I didn't know they were playing each other this weekend. That's must-watch TV. Anytime the Padres and Dodgers play, you got to watch that. And the Mariners are in Citi Field tonight. Good chance to get a sneak peek at the Phillies' next opponent, as they will be featured on the ESPN game at 7 o'clock tonight against the Mets. And there you go. There's your round the bases on this on this Sunday afternoon. And then tomorrow, the aforementioned Mariners will come to Philadelphia as the road trip is over. Phillies will return home. Logan Gilbert will get to start for the Mariners, and he'll be opposed by Ranger Suarez. 6:45 start time at the Bank. I'm not going to go over standings because nothing's really final yet other than the games that we're talking about. So there you have it. There's your round the bases and your schedule check-in for the next 24 hours. So no pitcher yet. Wednesday pitchers. Okay. And Kaepernick, the Eagles have traded for wide receiver John. Okay. Well, Eagles making some moves. That's a pretty interesting trade. I do believe Sanchez is the number 2, and he has proven that this season. We'll see. He may have to be. Actually, he may have to be the 1. 2 I'm okay with. He may have to be the 1, and that's something different. All right, let's get now. We're going to go down to Phillies farm. But before I do that, I wanted to pause for a second and sort of check back in on the kind of double back on the 2025 Phillies draft picks, because it's been a while. It's been about 3 weeks now since these players have signed. Now, of course, let me remind everybody out there, the Phillies drafted 20 players this season, or this past July. They had, I think, until the 26th or 27th to sign these players. The Phillies were able to sign 19 out of their 20 draft picks. So only one player decided not to sign, and that was Robert Phelps, the shortstop taken out of, or not Robert Phelps, Landon Schaefer, the shortstop taken out of Fayetteville High School in Arkansas. He did not sign by the deadline. I think he's going to college. So he now has a year within 24 hours, or what is it, like some odd, like 1 hour before next year's draft in order to sign for the Phillies, or he'll go back into the 2026 draft. So the Phillies signed 19 out of their 20 draft picks, and there's been some time that's separated. Now I want to kind of peek in on those guys and find out where exactly in the Phillies organization some of them are. And we're going to start off with our number 1 overall pick, Gage Wood. Gage Wood is currently still rostered with the FCL Phillies. Now, the FCL Phillies are no longer playing. Their season's complete, but they still continue to practice, scrimmage, simulated games. They still continue that because of the rookie situation down there. So Gage Wood is at the bottom part of our organization right now. Cade Obermueller, the second round pick, he's also with the FCL Phillies. Cody Bowker, the third round pick, FCL Phillies. Sean Youngerman, the right-hand pitcher from Oklahoma State, FCL Phillies. Gabe Craig, the right-hand pitcher from Baylor, FCL Phillies. James Talon, the left-hand pitcher from Duke, FCL Phillies. Matthew Fisher, the right-hand pitcher from Memorial High School in Indiana, the FCL Phillies. Brian Walters, the right-hand pitcher out of the University of Miami, FCL Phillies. Matthew Ferrara, the shortstop from Toms River High School out in Jersey, is actually with the Clearwater Threshers. He went through his little boot camp, and the Phillies have placed him in low A. So he is currently playing for the Clearwater Threshers. Cole Gilly, the right-hand pitcher out of Indiana, FCL Phillies. Will Verling, the catcher from Murray State, the brother of Matt Verling, also playing in Clearwater as he's moved on to low A as well. So he's down with the Threshers in low A. Tyler Bowen, the left-hand pitcher from Ladner University in South Carolina, FCL Phillies. Jack Barker, the outfield of College of Southern Idaho, FCL Phillies. Jonathan Gonzalez, the left-hand pitcher from Stetson, FCL Phillies. Jacob Pruitt, the right-hander from Mississippi State, FCL Phillies. Logan Dawson, the shortstop from Eastern High School in Jersey, FCL Phillies. Richie Cortez, the left-hand pitcher from Ladner, FCL Phillies. Matthew Potick, the right-hand pitcher from Coastal Carolina, FCL Phillies. Robert Phelps, the shortstop from Reinhardt University, is as well with the Clearwater Threshers. So all but 3. So the Phillies signed 19 out of 20. So that's 19. 16 of those 19 players are currently still listed with the rookie league team, the FCL Phillies, still going through an extended, I don't know if you want to call it an evaluation period or placement period, boot camp. I don't know what you want to call it because they're not playing actual games anymore. The FCL Phillies season ended. But with the exception of Matthew Ferrara, Will Verling, and Robert Phelps, who are all with low A. So for those of you that were hoping and holding out that Gage Wood somehow would find his way onto the Phillies postseason roster and be a contributor, I think your dreams are pretty much been dashed because Gage Wood is not even he's still in the rookie leagues, and probably for the foreseeable future. Maybe he shows up in Clearwater at some point in the next few weeks. And we'll check back in from time to time and see what the progression of these guys has been for the rest of the season. So just wanted to do that to kind of get you guys caught up where they may be. So I'm not saying right now Mariners sweep Phillies. I'm saying right now the Mariners sweep Phillies. That could be very possible, Mickey. It could be very possible. So, but hey, let's head on down to the Phillies farm. Down on the Phillies farm. This is the segment of the program where we go, I wouldn't call it in depth. We take a look at the Phillies farm system, tell you who's hot, who's not, the team's hot, where they stand, and anything else that we want to talk about. So let's get it rolling. Again, the FCL Phillies no longer in action, so there's no real report to be given with them. So let's head right to low A in Clearwater. Your fielder of the week is Raider Tello, the shortstop, 4 games, 6 hits, 5 runs, 1 homer, and 3 RBIs. Raider was actually fielder of the week a couple weeks ago as well, so he's now shown up a few times on this presentation. So good job for Raider Tello. He's got a really cool name. Your pitcher of the week is Ramon Martinez, a game, 1 win. He went 5 innings, 3 hits, and he gave him 1 earned run, struck out 8, and finished the week with his 1 start with a 1.80 ERA. The Thrashers were 3-2 for the week. 27-17 so far through the second half of their season. They'll go along with the 36-30 half as they're still battling for a potential playoff spot down there in the South in the it's not the South Atlantic League. It's not the Florida. What is it? Yeah, you know where they play. So let's move on now to High A in Jersey Shore, where your fielder of the week was Brock Veradenberg from Michigan State. First baseman, 2 games, 1 hit, 3 runs, 1 homer, and 3 RBIs for Veradenberg. Brock. Your pitcher of the week was Titan Kennedy Hayes. 2 games, no wins, 3 innings pitched, a hit, no earned runs, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk, and a 0.00 ERA for the Blue Claws. 3-3 were the Claws for the week. 25-17 so far through the second half of their season. Again, as they're battling in the South Atlantic League for a potential playoff spot heading down the stretch. So onwards and upwards to Double A in Reading. Dylan Campbell, who I fully expect to be a member of the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs at some point by the end of this season, or of course, start of next. 5 games, 3 hits, 4 runs, 2 homers, and 4 RBIs for the center fielder. And Griff McGarry making a second straight appearance as your pitcher of the week. He was last week's pitcher of the week for Reading. 1 game, no wins. He went 6, 2 hits, 2 earned runs, struck out 12, gave up a walk, and a 0.00 ERA. McGarry at one point was one of the was mentioned in the same breath with Andrew Painter and Mick Abel. If you guys remember that, now he fell off hard, but he's been slowly and surely kind of scratching and clawing his way back up into relevance within this organization, and that's a positive. A lot of people were writing Griff McGarry off. Now, he had some velocity problems that far exceeded what Nick Abel was going through, but he has gotten that under control. And as I said, second straight week now that he is your pitcher of the week for the Reading Fighting Phils. And again, like I asked last week, does anybody know what hat he's wearing? If you know it, please let me know in the chat. I will give you a special surprise. I asked last week, nobody answered. So, and don't look it up. You just got to answer in the next 5 seconds. I'll give you a hint. Cactus. There's the hint. All right. The Reading Fighting Phillies were 2-4 for the week. They were 19-20. They're 19-26 now on the season for the second half, as their season really has not gone well at all in Reading. And let's finish up in AAA. And yeah, it ain't no misprint, man. Not a good week for the Pigs if these 2 individuals are showing up as your fielder and your pitcher of the week, but they were. And the stats don't lie. Alec Bohm, even though he batted 172 in his rehab start, still had a pretty good week. 4 games, 3 hits, 2 runs, a homer, and 2 RBIs for Bohmer last week during his rehab stint. And yes, Aaron Nola. Yeah, that Aaron Nola. In 1 appearance, 5.5 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, struck out 11 with a 3.18 ERA in that 1 start. I think it was against Buffalo. So maybe we should go back in time and put Nola back in Lehigh Valley. Maybe he could push the Pigs to the International League's second half championship. The Pigs are 2-4 on the week and 19-22 so far through the second half. Definitely a tale of two halves for the Iron Pigs, as they've struggled after having an amazing start to their season. It's been a struggle ever since. But yeah, this is amazing. Looking at Alec Boehm and Aaron Nola as your player, as your fielder and pitcher of the week for the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. And hey, listen, I just go where the stats tell me. All right. I don't question it. But there you go. There's your Down the Phillies farm report for this week. I enjoy doing that. It's fun. But before we sum up and wrap up the show, and I want to thank everybody. We went over an hour today, but there was just a lot to unpack. What can I purchase at the Emporium in aisle 7 today? Give a guy a break. It's getaway day. Yeah, that's the red light special on aisle 7, Steve. Absolutely. Again, you mentioned my name at checkout, and you get 25% off all your purchases. But before we sign off today, I want to remind everybody that I will be back tonight at 10 o'clock for the final word. We'll get that thing kicked up, and we'll continue the conversation about today's game. Eagles apparently made a trade with Texans today for John Mechke, the wide receiver. So we'll get into some of that. We'll talk some Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola. We'll also talk some Flyers. That's right, man. So we're getting ready for that. So lot in store tonight on the final word. But before I do go, with the pitching uncertainty, there's a player that I like to throw out there, and this might be a pipe dream for this season. I know all the talk was around Andrew Painter. Blah, 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 blah. Bring Painter up. And this will do nothing, I think, to accelerate Painter's emergence at the MLB level. I don't think it will. The more likely, if Nola goes down, and we can't rely on Nola, or if they decide to move, to open up another roster spot or something, if they got to put him back on IL, you're going to see Seth Johnson, Alan Rangel. You're going to see those types of players probably come up from Lehigh. But there's a pitcher floating around in the system right now. He's in Double-A. And you guys have heard his name a lot on this show. Gene Cabrera. He is a very rising star in the Phillies organization. Currently the number 9 overall prospect in the Phillies organization. A 3.75 ERA between high A and Double-A this year, as he got promoted about 3 weeks ago. Throws a lot of strikes and throws a lot of ground balls. Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but if there needs to be a call up, because it's to counteract any of the nonsense about Andrew Painter, because every time a Phillies pitcher struggles, everybody defaults to Andrew Painter. When's he coming up? He's not, and he should not. But if the Phillies want to give a shot to somebody, especially as the season wraps up and we do expand our rosters on September 1st from 26 to 28, Gene Cabrera would be an interesting person I'd like to see at the major league level for a start or two, just to see where exactly he might be in his progression. And I was honestly surprised that Cabrera was not traded this summer in the trade deadline. I thought by sure as hell he was getting moved, but the Phillies held on to him. I think he's a very intriguing name, and I think he's somebody that I would love to see get an opportunity, if not just in September. And you never know. He throws fast. He throws hard. He's got a lot of break. He throws a lot of ground balls. He's a power/finesse pitcher. He does both. So I think he's more than likely will start next season in AAA, and then we go from there. But a Gene Cabrera would be somebody I would just like to see at the major league level at the end of the season, just for an opportunity to see where we might be with him. Not that I have long-term plans on him being the ace in the postseason, but someone just to see where we are with him. So keep that name out there on the tip of your tongue. Gene Cabrera, currently pitching for Reading, a fast rising star within the Phillies organization, and goes up with the names. As I said, I think I told you he was the new Mick Abel, and he is, in my opinion, he's a new Mick Abel. So, all right, there you go. Could we have a Tom? Yes, just for you, Steve, we can. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Phillies win 11-9. Aaron Nola was a disaster, but a good quality comeback, adversity type win by the Phillies today. Something that you could potentially hang your hat on, and something that the Phillies might have to. The offense showed today they can carry it. Well, they may have to do it now every day, as we are now throwing another question mark on top of the already mounting starting pitching rotation problem question mark list. So I'll be back tomorrow or tonight at 10 o'clock with the final word. Continue this conversation and so much, much more. Your day in Philadelphia sports history, the Of the Night segment, and of course, our card review, all those great things we do on the final word. So make sure you're checking back tonight around 10 o'clock for that. Until we talk again, you guys have a great rest of your afternoon. And before I go, you know what I got to hear, Harry the K? What you got?